So first of all, Tashi Dele to all of my Dharma friends. I hope that you are well and I hope that you are happy. And then so today in this short time, what I will be speaking about is if we want to be able to achieve a real and lasting happiness, what are the methods we must bring forth in able to achieve that? So I'll speak on that. So in these sessions, we have been going through sort of very briefly touching upon the main steps of the Lam Rim or the stages of the path sequence. In the last one, we were speaking on the Four Noble Truths, the first one, and today we will continue with the Four Noble Truths on the second, True Origins. And Buddha Shakyamuni, he came to the world and he instructed beings that if really from the bottom of our heart, if we have a strong heartfelt wish to be able to achieve a meaningful, lasting happiness, then we can do this through the process of cultivating these Four Noble Truths. So if we want real happiness, the first step is to understand the actual problems that are inhibiting that happiness. And it is for that reason that the first Noble Truths, true sufferings, the Buddha propounded, suffering should be known. So sentient beings are constantly engaged in all of these activities, seemingly nominally to try to get rid of their problems, but they aren't able to do that effectively because they don't know the actual problem. So when Buddha said suffering should be known, it was to help us to be able to know the actual cause, the root of the problem, and then engage in activities to address that. So for example, if you have like a poisonous tree or a poisonous shrub that you want to get rid of, clipping the branches from time to time will not do the trick because the branches will continue to grow as long as the root is there. So you must do something to address the root. And so the first, true sufferings, the Buddha said suffering should be known. The second one is true origins. Origins must be abandoned. Origins means we locate the actual cause of the suffering. And once we locate that cause of the suffering, then we work to abandon it, to address it. And if we are able to stop these true origins, if we are able to address the true origins, the cause of the problem, then slowly, slowly, the suffering will completely dissipate. So therefore, today we will be exploring this topic of true origins, and Geshe will explain it in a way that's a bit like an analytical meditation. So first, put your mind into a relaxed state and don't let the mind go from thought to thought, thinking all sorts of things. Relax the mind. Both ourselves and others, we engage in all different sorts of endeavors, seemingly to try to stop suffering. But so far, what we've done, we haven't been able to see an end to our suffering. All of the samsaric problems, the problems of cyclic existence that we experience, big or small, they don't arise in the absence of causes and conditions. They arise depending on those causes and conditions. And these problems, they weren't created by an external person. They weren't created by God or anything like that. On the basis of what cause do they arise? One of the main things, they arise depending on karma. These problems that we experience, they're arising on the basis of unwholesome or negative karma, both stronger and more minute. So many of the happinesses that beings in the higher realms like devas and human beings experience, that happiness is what is known as contaminated happiness because it is also arising due to karma. So connected with this, we understand that the teachings of karma, cause and effect, are something really, really crucial and important. And so in terms of this type of karma that leads to those results, the Buddhas and the Bodhisattvas refer to these as karmic origins. But is karma, or are these karmic origins, the main cause of what we experience? They're not the main ones. The underlying cause of the arising of that karma is the afflictions or unwholesome minds. So these are what we call the afflictive origins, and those are really the root of what we speak of as true origins. And just to sort of clarify those afflictive origins, these are things like attachment, anger, ignorance, jealousy, and so forth. When we engage in activities believing the picture that we see through the lens of attachment, this compels us to accumulate karma. When we engage in activities believing in the lens of anger that we see things through, this compels us to the accumulation of karma. So if we speak of the dependent arising of cause and effect, here is an example of this. In terms of this dependent arising of cause and effect, the root is the afflictions, the unwholesome minds that arise, these compel us into actions that accumulate karma, and then as a result of those karmic causes we've accumulated, we experience problems. It's not as if we can't see some of these realities with our eyes. If we look at so many rich and powerful people in the world, think of how their attachment to their wealth and power compels them into negativity. Because of this lens of attachment, or this feeling of attachment, because of not ever being able to cultivate contentment, they want more and more and more, and because they are always compelled to accumulate more, they engage in dishonesty, unskillful things, even wars and conflicts break out because of this. Based on believing this picture through the lens of attachment that compels us to engage in more and more activities, to accumulate and to protect, and then connected with that attachment and the activities compelled by it, other afflictions like anger, jealousy, and suspicion arise. We can see all of those other afflictions arising connected with attachment, almost like they are the servants of this attitude of attachment, and they compel us towards more negativity. We see that because of this attachment and the related afflictions, attitudes set in which can cause wars and so forth. And these wars and conflict can cause so much suffering to other sentient beings. And just like filling water into a container, we see just how all of these afflictions kind of rise up in stages. And we can see that if we peel back those layers of afflictions and peel them back, they all come to the root affliction, which is ignorance. Ignorance grasping at a self. So we could say that when we speak of true origins, the king of these true origins of suffering is this root affliction, the ignorance grasping at the self. If we think that true suffering should be known and its origins should be abandoned, we come to understand that its origins are that root affliction of ignorance grasping at the self, and the associated afflicted or unwholesome minds like attachment, anger, and so forth. We think, if I want to be happy, I must get rid of these origins of suffering. I must decrease these afflicted, unwholesome minds as much as possible. It's really important to think that the way I see things through the lens of attachment, the way I see things through the lens of anger, the way I see things through this lens of ignorance grasping at the self, this is not the way things really are. It is not in accord with reality. Thinking that with this human intelligence and with this human body, if I set my mind to it, I can definitely get rid of, address these two origins. Then we must think that as much as possible, I will use this opportunity to cultivate and to eliminate karma and affliction.
Oh yeah.
So we'll pause there.
Yes, we all that the digital yes, could you maybe answer? That could you them about so that and it are stand the shit over it. So you put Yana Malia, but me lava your point. So put it, that's my same more. So I like I should do us.
So in terms of our short meditation on true origins, that will end that short meditation. And in terms of being able to understand the main points of true origins, this is something that we are definitely able to do using our human body, using our human intelligence. We can definitely bring forth minds based on solid reasons that comprehend these points.
Never took a say carrying but the was on the Corosol Jatesaman was.
So if we look in terms of
Young also never took a say carryamba, then the telepan, the summer no remake so to the same carryamba.
So in order to understand how these are arising, when these afflicted minds arise, we use our intelligence to understand what is the antidote that I can give rise to counter it, and what is the valid reasoning that I can bring forth to understand that it is not based on reality. And we also have to be able to recognize, to differentiate between what are these better wholesome minds, right? And what are these undesirable, unwholesome minds? So thinking that this is my main task, then with a happy, joyful mind, proceed in the practice. Thank you very much.